Everybody, it is 7:06 p.m. I'll call this meeting to order. If you please stand and repeat the Pledge of Allegiance after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Rory, if you'd call roll, please.
Yes. Councilmember Glover.
Here.
Billings. Here. Gettle.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
And Robinson. Here.
Thank you. All right, we've got the Unified Fire Authority report. We're going to hear from Chief Larson. I think you should just make one of these guys just come up and do it. Just wing it. I mean, personally, but.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for having me tonight. It's always a pleasure to be with you. Happy Chapman Cat. Let me get my words straight here. Captain Green and his crew could be here. It's always a pleasure to have them come along. I'll start out with just the quarterly report. This is the last quarter for 2023 that you can see. It also has the yearly totals and incidents for the past 4 years. If you look at the Midvale city call volume, this is for the fourth quarter of 2023. We had 878 total incidents. 44% of those were emergent or required an ALS response, advanced life support. And then the 4-year monthly comparison is across the top right there. And as you can see, for the yearly totals, 2023, we were slightly down from total call volume from 2022, but just slightly, but up over the 2020 and 2021 years. Our top fire dispatches and top EMS dispatches are shown there. The incoming units, that's always the statistic we show of other units responding into Midvale besides your own Station 125, 126. So you can see Cottonwood Heights during that quarter responded into Midvale 44 times. The top ambulance responses follows the same thought process. It shows Cottonwood Heights, Station 110 again, responded in 38 ambulance responses into Midvale during that quarter. And then the emergent total time, or the time it takes from the time we receive the call till the engine arrives on scene, the 50th percentile, we're there within 4 minutes and 24 seconds. That's 50 out of 100 times. The 90th percentile is the other 40 times out of the 100 we were there in 648, and that's improved over previous years. So that was one of the chief's main initiatives when he started, was to help our response time. And if you remember, the design of the new Station 125 was designed to help assist with that, where they have a straight shot straight out to the apparatus bay, and just the way it was designed is supposed to help that. So that's kind of quick on the quarterly report. Are there any questions for me on that?
Just because Councilmember Billings is new, do you want to explain the 50th percentile and 90th percentile?
Sure. So the 50th percentile, the easiest way to remember that is that 50 times out of every 100 calls, we get there in 4 minutes and 24 seconds or less. And the 90th percentile, the easiest way to remember that is the other 40 calls out of 100, it's 6 minutes and 48 seconds. And that can be due to a lot of different things. It might be a 1040 call without lights and sirens. It could be a heavy traffic day, those types of things. So we're seeing that 50th and 90th kind of narrow over the past couple of years. So that's our goal, and that's what we're trying to accomplish.
Thank you.
Does that help?
Perfect.
Okay. And I knew if I didn't know the answer, Captain Green would. So, anyway, quickly, a few items. All our divisions for UFA have submitted their new budget requests to the chief, and we also conducted a 10% stress test. In other words, every division was required to send a separate initial budget request to the chief with a 10% reduction in their overall division budget. It was a good exercise. And with inflationary costs this year, it may come in to be very helpful. We're going to be holding meetings with the UFA Finance Division. That's Tony, our Chief Financial Officer, and eventually the Chief over the next few months to finalize the proposals. We're also gathering salary information from other nearby fire departments to determine if any changes need to be proposed to the board this year to remain competitive with sworn wages and benefits. We're heavily involved in the legislative process right now. Our legislative committee at UFA, we're heavily engaged in monitoring several bills being considered at the Capitol, and we're going to provide updates as necessary. We're watching the bills real closely that may affect the fire service and thus our service to our communities. I know Chief Burchett and Chief Pilgrim are actively involved. I know they're up at the Capitol 2, sometimes 3 times a week. Recruit camp began this month with 34 new recruits. The first few weeks they've had orientation, team building, physical fitness, and training with personal protection equipment. Camp will end May 16th with a graduation ceremony held at the JATC in Riverton, and when we get a time and a date, a time on that date, I'll be sure and let you know. Strategic plan was presented to the UFA board in January. This is for the new 2024-2026 strategic plan. A significant amount of work was placed both into closing out the 21 and 23 plan and the development of a future plan. During this process, over 90 meetings were held. Over 2,100 data points were gathered. This information was used to draft the current plan and will be of great assistance to organization as the future budgets are developed. I know the division leaders, we always look at the strategic plan and goals, and that's what we base our budget process on to try and accomplish those. And of particular interest, I think, to Councilmember Brown, Fire School 101 is scheduled for April 12th. I believe that's a Friday. We may have a couple of slots open, so Mayor and Matt, if in talking to the council members, if there's interest, let me know, and I'll see how many spots we can get.
Okay. You think we could get 2 spots? Like, do you think that would be realistic? Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Good to know.
A strong maybe.
I'd really like to go, pending another season-ending injury doesn't happen.
Yeah.
The last couple of years.
Yeah, it's definitely a fascinating experience. I was lucky enough to do it already 2 years ago at this point.
Oh, wow.
And it told me how out of shape I am trying to lug around all that gear. So, but it's a great experience and just getting a little bit of insights of your day-to-day on the job. So would encourage council members, if you haven't done it yet, to try to get signed up this year. Councilmember Brown, I know you've been waiting for a while, but before terms are over, they do it every year.
Yeah, it's a great experience. I think I would even have a hard time at this point in my life. So I know the physical agility test, when I went through, everybody could tell exactly where I was through the whole course because I had the bypass valve on and the bell was ringing the whole way. So everybody knew exactly where I was. I was sucking all the air out of that bottle for all I was worth. February safety message, January and February are usually the coldest months of the year. It's been rather mild lately. But I have a safety message that we can get out to the community. I'll be sure and send that to Laura. It just talks about simple things like keeping the space heaters 3 feet away from any material, making sure you turn them off at night, and some other safety tips. So I'll be sure and get that out. I think that's it. If there are any questions for me, I'll be happy to try and answer them or get an answer for you. Okay, I have a question.
Okay.
What is the difference between a $20 steak and a $55 steak? Any guesses?
25 and 55, you said?
$20 steak and a $55 steak.
$35.
February 14th. So, Matt, that's where you get into the quantum wonderland if you miss that, right?
Earlier I was discussing when he used, it doesn't matter.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, we're going to move into the Arts Council report and hear from Wade.
Oh, did you want to hit the other item first?
I did not print out the up-to-date, yes, wait, I
Okay.
apologize, 1 second.
No problem, because I was just going to say, how long can Bryant continue to use his Achilles as an excuse for not doing hard things?
Well, if he keeps doing it, I
Yes.
Yeah.
mean, this is 2 in 2 years now. I feel like we can just keep writing this one.
That makes me worried about what else I have wrong on my agenda, so when I say something, you just will all correct me.
We will.
Thank you, appreciate it.
That was the only change.
So we do have a proclamation declaring February 2024 as Black History Month. So I'll just read this, and this is something all of our council has signed. Whereas President Gerald Ford officially recognized Black History Month in 1976, calling upon the public to seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of Black Americans in every area of endeavor throughout our history. And whereas the month of February is designated as Black History Month, providing an opportunity for all citizens to reflect on and commemorate the rich heritage, achievements, and contributions of Black Americans to our nation. And whereas the theme for Black History Month 2024 focuses on African Americans and the arts and is infused with African, Caribbean, and Black American lived experiences. And whereas throughout history, Black Americans have played pivotal roles in shaping the cultural, social, economic, and political fabric of the United States, contributing to the advancement of our society in a myriad of fields such as science, arts, music, literature, sports, and civil rights. And whereas it is imperative that we use this occasion to deepen our understanding of the challenges faced by the Black community, both historically and in the present day. And whereas, as a community, we must continue to work collectively to eradicate discrimination and prejudice, striving for a future where every individual, regardless of race, enjoys equal opportunities, justice, and dignity. And whereas Midvale City recognizes February as a month to celebrate and honor the rich tapestry of Black history and reaffirm our collective dedication to a more just and inclusive society. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that I, Mayor Marcus Stevenson, and the City Council of Midvale City do hereby proclaim that from February 1st to February 29th, 2024, Midvale City will recognize the national celebration of Black History Month, adopted on the 6th day of February. If you'd pass that down to Lori, please. Thank you. Wade, I know I'm making you get your steps in, back and forth.
I can walk better than Bryant, so that's all right. My name is Wade Walker. I'm the chairman and president of the Midvale Arts Council, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that serves as the official arts agency of the city. And I'm happy to be here to report to the mayor, city council, and staff on our Arts Council's activities in the city over the past year. Sorry, do I need to? There we go. All right.
We're not seeing it.
It's not on these others. There you go. That's on.
So first, we want to express appreciation to the city for their continued funding and support of the arts, and we hope that we're contributing to the quality of life here in Midvale and what the citizens enjoy here in Midvale. We especially acknowledge Councilmember Brown's involvement on our board of directors, and also Nate Rockwood's attendance at our board meetings and helping us stay informed of city issues and vice versa. So a few highlights from our events this past year in 2023. We continued our free concert Fridays over the summer. We did 8 concerts involving 75 artists, and we had 2,500 plus attendees. And these concerts are provided free of charge to the public. We also put on 3 theater productions during the year: a spring youth review, a summer musical Something Rotten, and a fall youth production of Addams Family Jr. Those 3 productions, we had 100 performers and just under 2,000 attendees. We provide low-cost tickets to these events, lower than surrounding communities, and we provide a discount to Midvale residents for their support of the arts. We also offer a pay-as-you-may night where patrons can pay any amount or no amount for a ticket, and that's part of our effort to make the arts accessible to everyone. We have our annual Hall of Honors induction in conjunction with Harvest Days. This is a picture of Clark Phelps, the unofficial Midvale historian, and we are grateful to have honored him since he passed away just shortly after his induction into the Hall of Honors this past year. We also sponsor visual and literary art contests in conjunction with Harvest Days as well. Our visual art contest, we had over 30 local artists, 250 attendees, and for the first time ever, a youth, Erin Grimshaw, that's shown there in the upper right-hand corner, won our Best of Show. So she's quite an artist. With our literary event, it was our 3rd year. We continue to have growing participation in that, and we cover flash fiction, poetry, and youth categories where they're given prompts and only, a few days or hours to create their entries. The year-end 2022, we added exterior lights to the Midvale Performing Arts Center, which I think adds vibrancy and color to Main Street. And we did it in time 2022 for the Christmas tree lighting, and again this past year we did it as well. There's a picture, this historic picture of Midvale City, it was City Hall back then, with the lights at Christmas time, and here's a current picture of our lights and the Christmas tree up there. One of our projects for 2024 is hopefully to add a marquee to the corner of that property out front of the Midvale Performing Arts Center, which I think would be a nice bookend to the city's marquee on this end of Main Street in that redevelopment area for Main Street. And so we've been talking with Matt and Nate about that and hope to move forward with that marquee on that corner there that I think will be a nice addition to that intersection. So with all of those activities, I will say that occasionally we experience a little frustration from time to time with things that are happening. And, we opened the Journal recently and it had a recap of Midvale 2023, and there weren't any pictures of Arts Council events in there. And, we were kind of disappointed. We're like, man, we put on these concerts and productions, and I think that was the Journal picked those photos. I don't think that was, any not slighting anyone at Midvale for that. But then at the Mural Festival last year, there was a table and it was advertising all the events that Midvale has going on this summer to get involved, and it didn't list our summer concerts. And so we're kind of like, we got to get better at communicating with the city and making sure that there's the coordination of those activities so that people are aware of them, and like I say, hopefully we're adding to the quality of life, and hopefully that's getting recognized by the citizens and they're able to participate in those activities. So we continue to look for ways to improve our coordination and collaboration with the city. Having said that, the city has always been very good about cross-posting our social media posts onto the city's Facebook and social media accounts. And Laura's been very good about ensuring that Arts Council activities are included in the Midvale Journal. So we appreciate the continued funding from Midvale City. We also have funding from the ZAP program, from the National Endowment for the Arts, and from the Utah Division of Arts and Museums. That makes up virtually all of our funding. And we'll continue to offer the same offerings as we did this past year with the free concerts, the theater productions, visual and literary art contests, the Hall of Honors. We are trying something new this month. We're doing Free Movie February. So every Saturday we're offering a matinee movie over at the Midvale Performing Arts Center. This past Saturday we had Barbie. This coming Saturday we've got Rear Window. Then we've got Sing Along with Newsies, and then the last one in February will be The Sandlot, which obviously has ties to Midvale and Vincent Drug and some of the filming that was done here. So we're excited about that and seeing how that event goes this month. Is something that we haven't done before, and so it's a new activity for us to try. And we'll also continue to be involved as much as possible with the Main Street Business Alliance and the RDA as we coordinate, efforts with those organizations. Of note with funding, as with everything else, costs continue to increase, and our cost to put on concerts and productions continues to increase. So we really do appreciate the funding that we receive from Midvale City to help us accomplish that. Just a quick note, some of the partnerships that use the Performing Arts Center. We've got Titus Productions, a local theater company. We've got the Cultural Arts Society of West Jordan, who don't have their own building yet, and so they rent our building 3 or 4 times a year to put on their productions. We've also got Quickwit's Comedy and Improv Group that's resident there every other Friday night putting on a production. And they also sponsor, in the lower right-hand corner, you see the Wasatch Improv Festival. So each year they sponsor that festival, and I really think that that's something that the city could look into with the various festivals that they do, the Mural Festival, Letterfest that's coming up in March, an opportunity to partner with Quickwits and the Midvale Arts Council on that improv festival. They get troops from all over the country, even some international troops that come and participate in that, and it could be something that would be very worthwhile to pursue a partnership. Finally, just a couple of shout outs. We do always appreciate public works support. Whenever we put requests in via the facilities request portal, they're always quick to act on those. We appreciate that. And the support of the IT department to keep our connectivity up and running over at the building. So last note, we've had 1 board member resign this past year, and so right now we're operating with 4 board members, which isn't optimal. So if any of you have any recommendations for people to join our Arts Council Board of Directors, we encourage you to get those to us. So if you know of people in your neighborhoods or in your areas that you represent that have an interest in the arts, please send that information our way. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have for the Arts Council.
When is the improv festival?
So it's in January of each year, so they just barely did the one for 2024. And again, they do workshops during the day, and then they do 2 nights of performances where the different troupes have 20 minutes on stage and they rotate through that. So it really is kind of a fun opportunity at a time when people like to come to Utah, so you can get some skiing in and other things. So
I think it would be interesting if we could maybe get, I don't know of anyone off the top of my head, but if we could get people here in the city to take part of that, and just to be like an opening act or something where we're all awful. I will volunteer myself because I would love to do that, but maybe that's something we could do, plan for next year, 2025, just have 5 or 6 city staff members do something silly like that. I think Rory looks like she wants to participate.
Glenn is in, Mariah's definitely in.
Oh, I'm volunteering myself right now. You've all
Yeah.
heard it here.
Well, I remember you,
Rory's in.
professional wrestling at Harvest Days a
I
few
have
years
done
back,
that,
so I know
yeah.
you're game for a lot of stuff. So, I think that would be a lot of fun, to show that local involvement. And I think there's also the opportunity as that festival, as it continues to grow, to maybe partner with the art house as well, to have another space for, some workshops for people in the community, to come and try their hand at improv and things, so.
Councilmember Gettle, I hear, and this is what I hear, that they have a position open on their board of directors. So, I just, there's somebody who's got a lot of ideas.
I'll think about it.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move into public comments. I know from my understanding, we do have some public comments tonight. So any person wishing to comment on any item not otherwise scheduled for a public hearing tonight. And I'll just note, we do have 2 public hearings. As I mentioned, my agenda's a little messed up. Those are both on a final plat and a subdivision plat. So if that's what you're here for, you're gonna have the opportunity for that later on in the agenda. But if it's comments on any other item, this is your time. You can step forward, state your name into the microphone. And we're gonna stick with 3 minutes on each person wishing to give public comment. We've got kind of a packed agenda tonight, so I wanna make sure that we allow everybody to get out of here at a decent time, home to their families. But with that, you can step forward to the microphone and state your name for the record and give your public comment. Again, you'll be given 3 minutes.
Hi, everyone. My name's Olivia Marin. I am a constituent of Bonnie's. I'm from her district. So I am here to, first of all, give an opening prayer for the collective. May we each find inside of ourselves the ability to be the most generous stewards of these seeds of loving possibility. May we carry them May we carry them previously, or preciously, in our palms without crushing them, and may we plant them in everything we see. And that is from Sonia Renee Taylor. So I am here because I drafted a petition for a ceasefire resolution. I don't know if you guys have been staying updated with what's going on in Gaza, but in the Salt Lake City community, we have been organizing restlessly for the last 4 months to get one passed. And tonight I know that there are over 56 comments being said at the city council meeting in Salt Lake. So we're working on that, and I know that there are a lot of members of the city council over there that are working on that, drafting that as well. So that's very promising, and I'm very excited about that. But I'm just here to say that over 22 members of the community signed this petition for the ceasefire resolution, and I did share that with Bonnie, so if any of you are interested in that, feel free to get that from her, or I'm happy to email that to you. I'm also just here to say that I care about local issues and denouncing Israel's genocide. This is really just a test for not only our moral strength and clarity, but specifically the representatives of the community. So I just think it's very important that we are on the right side of history. And I mean, it would be insane if we beat Salt Lake to this, but I think it would be amazing if we did. So yeah, in Salt Lake, over 1,000 constituents signed a petition, and I just think that, or I know that this genocide is risking our national security. The U.S. has now attacked Iraq, Yemen, Syria, and Jordan. 60% of Israelis say that they're not using enough force in Gaza for like humanitarian aid and stuff like that. And we just need to stand.
If you can just take like 10 seconds and wrap, I apologize.
Sorry, what?
If you can just take 10 seconds and wrap.
Basically, over 35,000 Palestinians have been killed, and over half of them are children. So we just really need to step up, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions if you have any. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
All right, if we have any other public comments, again, you may step forward to the microphone, state your name for the record.
Hi, my name is Kent Singleton, and I'm a patron of the Senior Center. And we do share the parking lot here. And sometimes the parking lot gets overcrowded for many reasons. Obviously, things are getting really busy on the street. The apartments are being built and lots of construction. Whereas it is that there is a problem with getting the seniors into the senior center at certain times because of the parking issues, I came up with an idea and I proceeded to contact overstock.com, where they have 1,000 parking stalls in that superstructure down here. And you've got a wonderful fire station down on the other end. And my thoughts were that if we had a bus that would do this street right here, and that, like, for instance, the seniors could use that parking structure down at overstock.com, grab the bus, come up here and get in with and facilitate getting in there. Anyway, so I just wanted to introduce that concept and see that if anyone wanted to contact me, I can give you some phone numbers. That's it.
Thank you, Ken. Really appreciate it. All right, do we have any other public comments tonight? Okay. Just for the two comments, just one thing of note is that we can't take action on anything here unless it's been on the agenda. So on both of those items, no action will be taken tonight. With that, I'm going to move into reports. Somebody's going to correct me if my agenda is that wrong. It shouldn't be that wrong, Rory. For mine, just two things. One is, as a reminder to everybody, with this GO bond that we passed to help secure our community a new recreation center, Salt Lake County is starting their master planning process. While if we're not included in the master plan, it's not a guarantee we won't get funding. We have been told by the county that if we want to be considered for funding, we really need to be in that master plan. So they have started these public open houses throughout Salt Lake County. The closest one to us is at the West Jordan Library on February 22nd. I believe that's a Thursday night from 6 to 8 p.m. It's a pretty simple process. I went and attended a different one in Salt Lake City just to try to kind of see how the process works. And you walk in, they'll tell you information about kind of what they do in the master planning process, and then you can just write down your comments about what you want to see. I'm hoping that we see a flood of Midvale residents going and supporting a pool, no pun intended with the flood, but supporting a community pool and a new recreation center. Again, it's been really critical that even though we have our own survey data, a bond, that we have to have Midvale residents' voices involved in that process. And so again, there's several of them happening, but February 22nd, really close to us at the West Jordan Library. The other thing I just want to update on is I had an opportunity to participate in the point in time count. This is where every year, because the state of Utah receives federal funding every January across the nation, they take 3 really early mornings from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. and you actually go and count unhoused individual on the streets and interview them. And so my wife and I participated in that. It was a really interesting experience. We had the Center Street to our Murray border from in between State Street and the freeway. So really some of our hardest hit areas. So it was fascinating to go walk those kind of in the middle of the night and go talk with folks and learn some stories of places where I feel very fortunate that I didn't grow up in the same circumstances that some of these folks did who end up on the streets. So it was fascinating. Would encourage everybody. I could not do that all the time. Those early mornings kicked my butt. But if it's something that you're interested in doing, again, they do it every single January, and it was really a fascinating experience. With that, we'll move on to council reports. First up, we've got Councilmember Glover.
Nothing this evening, Mayor.
Okay, Councilmember Billings?
I just wanted to say something really quick. Last week I had the opportunity to participate with UPD on a call that they went out on, and I just wanted to thank them for being so warm and welcoming. It was in District 1, so for being so warm and welcoming. And also I was just really impressed by their investigation and that process and how thorough it is. I was really impressed. I just wanted to say thank you, and yeah, that was it.
Thank you. Councilmember Gettle?
Thanks, Mayor. Two things quickly. I wanted to thank you, Mayor, and Mrs. Stevenson for the work that you guys have been doing with our unsheltered population here in Midvale. As you mentioned, I think you said the early mornings kicked your butt, did you say?
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you for the G-rated version. But yeah, that's just very impressive and very nice of you both. I know you both have a lot going on, and to be able to fit that into your schedules is a great representation for the city. So thank you, and thank the First Lady of Midvale, as I will always call her.
Will do.
Second, just real quick, last week I was re-elected chair of the Animal Services Committee, so I'm happy about that. You know, my love of animals, and that committee in particular is very near and dear to my heart. The only thing to come out of that meeting that we should be aware of is, well, one, we had an Open Meetings Act training, so I'm good to go from now on. No more open meetings trainings. But they're also redoing their online dog licensing program. It's one of those things that we kind of forget about. We get animals and we forget that you are supposed to license them every year. Their website was a little difficult to navigate, admittedly, so they've changed that. It's much easier to navigate now, and they're hoping that we can use some of their marketing materials and send that out on Facebook and social media as well. So I wanted to get your permission, Matt, to send that along to Laura, if that's okay. Okay. And one final update. They always try to get you to look at the dogs in the shelter, which I've been very adamant about not getting a dog, but this last time they got me. And so I have a new tiny addition to my apartment. And I just recommend, you know, sometimes we think that the animals there are just either poorly behaved or vicious, or, you know, this is the sweetest little dog that I've ever met. She's a little Shih Tzu, miniature poodle mixture. And so there are dogs there's dogs for everyone at the shelter, fortunately or unfortunately. So please, if you're in the market, you know, why spend, you know, a couple $1,000s on designer dogs when you can go to the shelter? And at this point in February, they have a name your price thing. So you literally can pick up a dog or cat or whatever. They have different animals there for whatever you think is fair to give them. So I can't recommend them enough, and again, I'm happy to be chair again. So if you guys ever have any issues with animals that come up, please feel free to reach out to me. Mayor Stevenson did. We coordinated efforts with the cougar that might still be in the area. We don't know for sure, but we have UPD on it, and we have Animal Services on it as well. So thank you, Mayor. That was it. Sorry, I said I'd be brief, and that was probably the longest.
Councilmember, I was just, what do you call a combination Shih Tzu poodle?
I have been calling her a shoodle.
Sounds appropriate. I had a different combination, but I
Tell me after the meeting, please.
Councilmember Gettle, thank you for that G-rated version.
But I want on the record. I want what Matt was thinking on the record.
We're not doing that. All right. So anyway, Councilmember Brown.
So, first of all, I'd like to echo what Councilman Gettle said. Our previous dog was from the shelter, and the sweetest dog we ever had. In fact, a little too sweet. It whined in every video I ever made for about 7 years. Every time I go back and look at videos of my kids, I could hear my dog whining in the background. But no, really great dog, and they probably always need people looking to adopt because they fill up quickly. I appreciate Wade, even though he gives me a hard time, for coming in and and presenting. As you notice, when he gives me a hard time, he calls me by my first name, but when he thanks me, he calls me by my title. So I am the same person, Councilmember Brown and Bryant, and I have been on the Arts Council now for 6 years. They work tirelessly. It's unpaid, but it's very fulfilling. It's probably one of the hardest working sort of non-profit volunteer groups in the city. You know, they've been through a lot, just like everywhere, you know, between COVID and, you know, pre-COVID, post-COVID. How are we going to recover? You know, how do we do shows again? And they always evolve. The new thing is on Fridays is the free movies. Saturday matinee, where they have those movies and you know, just always finding a way to sort of involve the community at a low to no cost, you know, if possible, between the concerts and the park. You know, I recommend as many people try to go to them as possible to see and show support. The concerts are usually very good. You know, the big band around the 4th of July is always fun. They like to do it. You see a wide range of people that get up and will dance along with the music. Some, you know, double or triple my age, it feels like, and they love it, and it's worth seeing. It's a side of Midvale culture that if you've never seen, I think you should. But so it's something I appreciate. I appreciate working with them, and you know, everything they do for Midvale. One thing I was thinking about today is I have only been on council for 6 years, and when I started, I thought, oh, Maine is nothing's ever gonna get done. You know, everyone always says, you know, we want something done, and it looks like the cactus and tropicals is, you know, well under, you know, it wasn't like a idle thought, right? It looks like a construction zone, and what's happening on the north end too. I'm excited to see what'll happen, right? Something I didn't think would ever happen is happening a lot quicker than I thought. So, you know, I'm glad we have it. I'm glad that gentleman, you know, moved quickly on that cactus and tropicals, and because that is something I do complain about, especially with Maine, is people come in with applications, and we have years that go by, you know. And so, I don't know. I think in a few years we should see, you know, something very special here, and I think the marquee for the Arts Center would be very crucial on that corner, because it'll just be sort of this gateway right there. Where before I didn't, oh, it'll be fine. Now it seems like a very important piece. And so I'm plugging, you know, for that as well, just seeing what's happening there, you know, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Robinson.
I just really quickly wanted to thank Public Works for staying on top of some pretty serious potholes that have kind of popped up lately. So I just wanted to say thanks for that, because I know it's not the most fun part of your day. That's all I have, Mayor.
Speaking of Glenn, that one that is the state's responsibility is fully back. I drove by. Love it. Appreciate it.
Is it the one I just emailed you about?
Well,
Yes.
we all drive by it every day, and it's this on a state road.
Let's all blame Glenn anyways.
Yeah, we're gonna blame him. Before we go to the city manager's report, one of the quirks I find about our agenda is that on the mayor report, it specifically says Mayor Marcus Stevenson. On the council reports, it specifically names all of us. And I've never understood on the city manager report, it doesn't say city manager Matt Dahl. But based on the comments he was making just a minute ago in this weird route we were about to go down, now I understand why. Because you never know when we're gonna have to just get rid of our city manager and go a different direction. So it makes sense in my head now. So with that, Mr. Manager Dahl, if you'd like to take it away.
That's a hard transition. Let's see. Primarily, I just want to say that we, in the last week, have really been going through and looking at the large number of not only events that we're putting on, partner organizations as well, but the large number of construction projects that we'll be having going on throughout the city, related to the utility projects that we've been talking about for a while, the ongoing things around Main Street and in other areas throughout the city. And we're trying to put together a couple of things. One of them for the public is increasing in a more robust way to make sure that everyone is aware of when and where these things are going to be going on, so that we can get ahead of that and help people be able to maneuver around as these projects come out. A lot of them are the culmination of the hard work of our staff, but also the visionary work of this council in approving a lot of those things. And it'll be, to add on to what Councilmember Brown was saying about Main Street, I think there's going to be a lot of things that will be exciting when they're done. That being said, in addition to that, we will be sending out to the council members a large list of these events and things that we'll be having coming up. So keep an eye on the email for those. If you have questions about any of those events when we send them out, because it'll probably come in one email with a large number of things, I'd be happy to answer any of those questions that you may have. And I think that we'll talk more about those projects in upcoming meetings, but you should be seeing that coming out relatively soon. So with that, I think I will, if I'm still the city manager after all that, I guess, I'll turn it back to you, Mayor.
You've redeemed yourself for now, but you're on thin ice.
Fair enough.
With that, we're going to move into public hearings. We've got two tonight. First of all, we've got the final plat for the cottages at 7240, consisting of 2 lots located at 7240 South, 525 East in single-family residential zone. And we're going to hear from Elizabeth.
Yep, thank you. Okay, so this is a final subdivision for a project just over off 7200 and 525 East. You can see it circled there in the green. This was previously heard at a planning commission earlier this year, and they approved it for a flag lot subdivision. So the long-term goal is to put two duplexes on the 2 separate lots. They're not doing that currently, they're just subdividing the property, but to give you an idea, this is the layout that they're going for. There are a number of different parking. The project had been through some iterations earlier, and parking was a large concern. So plenty of parking on the site for that. This is a copy of their subdivision plat. Staff, fire, engineering have all reviewed it, found it meets every standard. So the conditions and recommended motion have remained the same as provided to you. We did receive public comment objecting the project, but only for earlier iterations. When this new iteration that you were seeing came forth, everyone was, I think, appeased by the parking in the current layout. So.
Was that most of the objections, was just parking concerns?
Yeah, and some other things that logistically didn't end up working out with the site. They had more units originally, and they've since pared it down to just the 2 lots and 2 duplexes.
Got it. Any clarifying questions from the council? With that, I'd entertain a motion that we open the public hearing.
Mayor, I motion that we open the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Okay. Any opposed? We'll move into a public hearing on this item. Do we have any public comments on this item? If so, you can step forward to the microphone, state your name for the record. Seeing none,
Mayor, I move that we close public comment.
Second.
we have a motion and a second to close public comment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Okay, public comment is closed. With that, unless there's any final questions, comments, I'd entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move that we approve the final plat for the cottages at 7240, consisting of 2 lots located at 7240 South, 525 East, with the findings noted in the staff report.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Rory, will you call roll, please?
Yes, Councilmember Billings.
Yes.
Glover.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Brown.
Yes.
And Gettle.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Thank you. Moving on to our second public hearing item, consider a final subdivision plat request for a property located at 641 West 3rd Ave in the single-family residential zone to be split into 2 lots. Elizabeth, before you get started,
Yes.
I heard because the legislature changed the way that we go through this process, is this the final subdivision plat that we get to approve?
I believe so.
Wow.
But I don't know what else they have cooking. but I believe
This
I
could be a
guess.
momentous moment for
It
us.
could be.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll certainly
Final
probably
one.
see a lot less of me. Yes, so this is a final subdivision going over just in the avenues right by here. You'll see that some of the lots are intermingled in this area. We've got some of the smaller ones and some of these kind of double wide lots that we've had. So we've seen some subdivisions like this. You'll notice that on the western portion of the lot, there is an existing dwelling. They're planning to keep that, and the new subdivision will just conform with lot standards. They'll keep that on the western side and then plan to just build another single-family home on the other lot that is created. Everything meets code and standards. All staff has approval, and we haven't received any objections in regard to the project. So recommended motion has remained the same.
Any clarifying questions for Elizabeth?
Yeah, I have a question. So you said they're keeping the existing structure there now. So is that technically 3 lots then?
No, it will just be that lot with the structure and then the new lot.
Okay. And then in the new lot will go how many structures, or do we not have those plans just yet?
No plans currently, but they could only put a single-family home there.
Okay,
Yeah, just 1 unit.
I see. Okay. I have answered my own question with your help.
Okay,
'Cause I'm
sorry if I wasn't
thinking-
clear.
Yeah, I thought because it was a double lot that, it was being split
Oh,
into thirds.
no, sorry,
like
just
1/3.
an
Yeah.
original,
Gotcha
yeah.
now.
Thank you.
Technically, they could tear the house down
Yeah.
and do a
Which-
duplex.
yeah.
or-
No duplexes in that zone, so just
Oh,
single-family homes.
Okay. If there's no other clarifying questions, I'd entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Mary, motion that we open the public hearing?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, public hearing is open on this item. Do we have any public comments? If so, you can step forward to the microphone, state your name for the record. Seeing none.
Mayor, I move that we close public comment.
Here, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to close the public comment. All in favor, say aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, public comment is closed. Again, if there's no other clarifying questions or comments, I'd entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move that we approve the final subdivision located at 641 West 3rd Avenue with the findings included in the staff report.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Rory, would you call roll, please?
Yes, Councilmember Glover?
Aye.
Robinson?
Aye.
Brown?
Yes.
Gettle?
Yes.
And Billings?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Moving on to our consent agenda, just one item, consider minutes of January 16, 2024. Is there a motion to accept the consent agenda?
Mayor, I motion that we accept the consent agenda.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Rory, would you call roll, please?
Yes, Councilmember Robinson?
Aye.
Brown?
Yes.
Gettle?
Yes.
Billings?
Yes.
And Glover?
Aye.
Okay, that passes. Thank you. We'll move into our discussion item of the night. Uplift Midvale bylaw discussion. We're going to hear from Vanessa. You all haven't had the opportunity to meet Vanessa at this point. I don't think she is our Youth Violence Prevention Coalition Coordinator. First time presenting in front of the council. She's been doing a great job for us and excited to see what she presents on the bylaws.
Yes, nice
that-
to meet the council. Yes, I'm Vanessa, I'm the coalition coordinator. I will be discussing the Uplift Midvale Coalition.
Can you speak into the
bylaws.
microphone a little bit more?
Speak really
you've been a
close,
little
Vanessa.
quiet.
Okay, thank you so much, guys. Okay, so I will be proposing the Uplift Midvale Coalition bylaws and discussion. So as far as the coalition, it has been operating as a community-led organization for 18 months. As you can see, we have some of our accomplishments that we've had here in 2022 and 2023. That includes finalizing our grant and partnership with Salt Lake County and also with the city. of course, also onboarding me in 2022 in October and November. With that said, we do understand that we are proposing the bylaws stay as a structure, but we hope to formalize it moving forward, upon which we hope to have this is a very rough timeline of what we're hoping to accomplish with the coalition. And again, our intent is to reduce the youth violence here in Midvale community and increase the healthy habits and reduce the risky behavior that we have been witnessing here in Midvale City. This is just a reminder, we do intend to finalize the bylaws and propose at a later date with the council for further approval. The partnership that we do have with Salt Lake County and with the city, it is in conjunction with the Communities That Care model, which is a nationally recognized model, and it is evidence-based to reduce risky behaviors and promote healthy behaviors, and all in the name of prevention and when it comes to the youth development in their communities. So with that said, there is a structure, and I turned it off, I think. Thank you. So with that said, there is an organized structure with Communities That Care that is part of the training. Of course, it is formalized. However, there is a lot of room for the differences that happen with each city and the communities that they serve. That includes different factors, risk factors that happen, such as like substance abuse might be a higher risk factor for some communities versus others. With the city of Midvale, we have agreed upon 3 different groups, including functioning as an administrative coalition, and that includes the key leadership group, the community board, and of course the subset of the community board, the work groups, using me as a facilitator between the community board and of course the city manager as the overall contingent factor of within the discretion of communicating to you folks, the city council. With that said, the role of the proposed key leadership group will operate as an executive committee of Uplift Midvale. Proposals from Uplift Midvale, including budget requests or changes to the strategic plan, will be reviewed by the key leadership group before being presented to the city council or before new programs, projects, or events are undertaken by the staff or community partners on behalf of the city. And it will be comprised of the city manager, Mayor of Midvale City, Midvale Police Precinct Chief, City Council member, appointed and approved by you folks, the Community Board Chair, appointed by the Mayor and approved by the City Council. Moving on to the Community Board, which their role will be to develop data-driven strategic plan to provide protective factors for Midvale youth and community to address issues of violence. The Community Board will follow the CTC framework in preparing the strategic plan and maintain a network of community stakeholders that will support the implementation of these plans. That includes the folks from these sectors, including the law enforcement, education, youth-serving organizations, and these would all be stakeholders and community board members moving forward. As far as memberships are concerned, they will be appointed by the mayor, serve 2 years renewable terms, required meeting attendance, which at this time, for the past 18 months, we have been meeting once a month, but again, we didn't sign the contract until, I believe, August of 2023. As far as the proposed work groups, again, the CTC has a very formalized 6 work groups that you should abide by, but they are flexible in the structure to each city that has different risk behaviors and factors. So at this time, we've only created 1, which is the community assessment group that will be analyzing the community assessment, which will then be developed into the strategic plan, or otherwise known as the action plan. But of course, we will not move forward until our bylaws are officially approved by the council. So they will be formed as needed, as I discussed, with specific issues that impact Midvale. So again, the community assessment will help us identify those risk factors, and then membership will be selected by the community board chair, and that's where we will find someone with specific strengths that would be promotion. Like, for example, for the community assessment group, it will be folks that are probably strongly driven in data and be able to provide a presentation to the coalition, who will then develop the strategic or the action plan, and then so on and so forth for the key leadership group, then communicated to the coalition to be approved. The working group will remain intact for a year or until the solution is found. So once we get that approved, that work group will no longer be a thing, and we'll move on to the next factor or problem. As far as any questions, comments, concerns?
So this is a discussion right now. We'll bring the bylaws back for adoption at our next meeting
Yes.
soon, next meeting or
Yes.
two. And then at that time that we adopt the bylaws, will we also appoint the council member to the the stakeholder group at that time as well?
The key leadership group?
Yeah.
Could you talk about the key leadership group just a little bit more? Note, again, with this being that these are proposals, right? So like,
Yes.
we'll come back to you to finalize all these terms. But given that the key leadership group has sort of been, is part of the CTC model and what's recommended as part of what we've seen in other communities, is there, once she describes the key leadership group, it would be interested to see if anyone would be partial to participating, and it might even be helpful while we're finalizing the bylaws. If there's someone who would like to be the final appointed council member to participate, it might be useful to be able to communicate with them over the next couple or a few weeks as we're finalizing this. So if anyone's interested, once that's described, it would be great to hear.
Yes. As far as the key leadership group, you would be acting as the voice of the council. So it is Marcus or Mayor Stevenson will be there to voice the city of Midvale. Of course, the city manager will also be the person that would use their own discretion to communicate along to the council, but then also having a council member there will just also make sure that we are communicating properly to the council, and of course, voicing the council at key leadership member groups meetings. When it comes to, at least, for example, if we do decide to apply for a grant, which won't be for a second, but when we apply for a grant or for new funds, that will probably go first to the coalition and the key leadership groups. So then the community board can proceed with collecting data to then apply for the grant and issue those funds. And in which case we would then have to adjust our budget, which was previously approved by you folks. And so then it would be an adjustment, and that would just follow that proceeding piece of coalition, then the key leadership group, then to council, and also vice versa, if that's understood.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing I was just going to mention is that there's also a training that is required for people who participate in that group, which is a day's worth of training.
It is a day's worth of training from what I discussed with the CTC trainer, also who works with Salt Lake County in conjunction with them. So it can either be done in several sessions, or it can be done in 2 half-day sessions, or 1 big session.
So with that, is there anyone who is interested in dealing with, or being on the coalition that is working on these issues of youth violence in our community?
I would be interested in that.
Awesome.
Anyone else want to fight her for it? Sorry, violence is bad.
Reducing violence.
No, I don't want to fight Heidi because we know how that would turn out and would not be in my favor. I do have 2 questions, if I may. First, well, one, thank you for this. I think these are the types of things that a lot of our community members just wonder how they can get involved in a community organization that has ties to the city council, and this is a great way to do that, and I'm excited to see what you guys do. Sorry, that wasn't a question. But my first question is, so we're going to approve the bylaws that you guys bring to us. What is the mechanism for amending those bylaws? If you amend them, do you have to come back to us to approve those amended bylaws, or how is that going to work?
So last time I wrote the bylaws, we kind of wrote that in there that we'd be reviewing any amendments moving forward, whether that be quarterly or once a year, depending on how much movement we get, or decision making. For the first year, we might not be making very many amendments.
Okay. And that's what I would expect in the first year, but as things go on and you see something's not working,
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure that, not that I want to get like that heavily involved in like bylaw conversations, but
Fair.
I was just wondering if we approved them initially, if we had to approve any amendments to them as well. So, the second one, and I hate to be that guy, but one of the members, it says religious organizations.
Yes.
Trying to understand, just from our perspective as a neutral arbiter of a government body as we are, how we are going to make sure that if someone from a religious organization is included, and that's, the title that they're bringing to the group, how are we going to make sure that that's fairly chosen? There are different people who practice different religions throughout Midvale. Some don't practice any at all.
That's
So,
fair.
yeah, could you just help me out with that?
Yes, of course. So I think that what we, thankfully, within the last few weeks, I believe that the city manager has highlighted that that can just be anybody, but we, with the mayor-appointed caveat, that helps a lot with that. So Mayor Stevenson will be reaching out to religious leaders, and those that are approved, then they would then sign up for the coalition, and then we can use their input for that. Of course, if it contradicts anything, then.
I was gonna say is it's not gonna be, this isn't like there is one and we are picking one representative of that group. If there's more that wanna participate, that can
Yes.
expand.
Yes.
So it's a category, that we'll be, conferring with, but it would not be a, it's not, well, anyways, the short answer is, there's not gonna just be one person from one faith that we are selecting that would be on this. We'll be reaching out to other people who are interested, and as they wanna participate, we can expand. Just like any of these other categories, we can have more than just one person from each of those groups representing.
When I say something wrong, you can correct me. But just like, so all of these, we have to have represented as being a part of the CTC. And that, like with parents, we could have more than one parent on there. And I think the main thing that we're looking for is that the individuals who want to be involved are engaged and go through the necessary training.
Yes.
But again, if we've got multiple people in one of these sectors, that's not necessarily, that's not an issue. We just need to make sure that we have at least one person from each sector.
Exactly. And of course, we also want to represent Midvale City to the best. We want to be as diverse on our coalition as possible to have every voice represented on our council.
It does give
That'll
me
be-
some pause, I'm just gonna be honest with
Fair.
you, because, just being a government body with money from our taxpayers going to this organization, I understand what you're saying, that it's not limited to one religious viewpoint. However, if only one person from a religious organization comes forward and wants to participate, then that is the religious participation in the organization. So it could be misconstrued as one way or another. We have a person from this religion on Midvale's board, and it makes me a little bit nervous being a government agency, not supposed to favor any religion over the other or no religion at all.
And I think that, from the broader perspective, I mean, really what we're saying when it comes to these religious, this first part is not meant to assuage you, but it's really just looking at, sort of different community groups, of which religious groups do provide service and things in this community. I hear your point, and as we look at refining this, we'll look at that more specifically to make sure that we are, not violating it, and maybe there's another way of sort of trying to describe it that gets, we'll try to see if there's a way that we can address your concerns on that, and make sure that we're not violating anything. That being said, the CTC is sort of the model that most of these coalitions have used, and that this is a common practice amongst those for there to be a representative of religious organizations in that. But I hear your point, and we'll make sure that we're, at a minimum, we're not in any way conflicting with any laws, and then when we come back with the bylaws, if that's something that we need to change or have recommendations for, then we'll look at doing that.
Okay.
And with that
Appreciate
said, all of the feedback that we're receiving today is something that we will hope to include the bylaws and formalize that way moving forward once it is approved. So now we're going to do all the edits, of course.
Any other questions, comments for Vanessa? Vanessa, I've told you this, but I'll do it here as well. We have thrown Vanessa into some very challenging community conversations recently, and she's been taking those with stride. And so, just appreciate your work in really diving head into this of something that our city has never stepped into this space before. So, thank you for your work.
I appreciate that. That's on record. So
It is.
thank you.
Don't mess that up then. All right. So we do have a closed session tonight, but what I'm going to propose is that I'm going to explain this. So when I say it wrong, you're going to correct me. On the agenda, we actually have a closed session on the RDA agenda. We're not going to do it that way. I would let Garrett explain it if we need to, the reason why. And so we're actually going to use the possible closed session for what we were planning in the RDA. So what I'm going to propose is that we recess out of the council meeting, go into our RDA meeting. We'll then table that closed session in the RDA once we get to it, and then come back to council and do the closed session in a council meeting before going to our second workshop. I don't know if you can add something.
And to be clear, especially for the minutes, the reason that we're doing the closed session in the city council portion of the meeting is because as we were discussing this issue, it became apparent that this is a city issue that needs to be discussed. This is not an RDA issue. And so that's the reason for not doing it in the RDA meeting.
So why do we have to go to the RDA meeting now and not just go into that discussion now?
You don't have to. It's more out of, if, I know the RDA folks have a number of items, and if we'd like to keep them here and excuse them for the closed session and come back.
I see. Okay. Crystal clear.
So with that, I would entertain a motion to recess out of the city council meeting to enter into the RDA meeting.
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
Great, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Any opposed? All right, so we're recessing council. We should really do like costume changes or something as we go into RDA, just to make it clear that we're changing. All right, welcome everybody. It's 8:17. I'll call this meeting to order. Rory, if you call roll, please.
Yes, Board Member Glover.
Here.
Billings.
Here.
Gettle.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
And Robinson.
Here.
Okay, thank you. We'll move into public comments. If we have any person wishing to comment on any item not otherwise scheduled for a public hearing on the agenda tonight, they may address the redevelopment agency of Midvale City at this point by stepping to the microphone and stating their name for the record. Do we have any public comments? Seeing none, we'll move into the consent agenda. Just one item, consider minutes of January 16th, 2024. Is there a motion to accept the consent agenda?
Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? Rory, would you call roll, please?
Yes, Board Member Brown.
Yes.
Gettle.
Yes.
Glover.
Aye.
Billings.
Yes.
And Robinson.
Aye.
Okay, that passes, thank you. We've got 3 action items for tonight. First one, consider resolution number 2024-03 RDA approving the term sheet for an adaptive reuse loan agreement between the redevelopment agency of Midvale City and Midvale Main Partners LLC.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council. Let's see, I'll wait. There we go. Okay, the first action today is a loan request from the Midvale Main Partners for an adaptive reuse loan for the building at 7696 South Main Street, which is what I call, and I think a lot of people call it, the Vincent Drug Building. So Midvale Main Partners has applied for a $250,000 loan under the adaptive reuse loan. The purpose of this loan type is to provide the necessary structural improvements that will allow for tenants like Cactus and Tropicals and a local restaurant to occupy the building. I just want to clarify this because this is a separate funding request than what we have received from Cactus and Tropicals for their business loan, which, as I'll detail later, is for tenant improvements. So more specifically, the loan will go towards structural and seismic upgrades, framing, stair access to provide access to the roof, for the potential of rooftop dining if the restaurant tenants chooses to do so, updated HVAC throughout the building, plumbing, drywall, electrical, bathrooms, and then they are also paying for the addition of the greenhouse for Cactus and Tropicals. So this is kind of their overall budget. On the left side, we have the budget for the south side of the building, which is where the soda fountain and Cactus and Tropicals will occupy. And then the budget for the north side, that would be where the restaurant is. So this is the overall budget for Midvale. Just as a reminder, with the adoption of the new loan programs, we did offer an incentive of an interest-free loan, which is made available to public benefit projects. This means that they had to score a minimum of 60 points and achieve full points in historic character, economic impact, beautification, and street activation. After staff's review of this loan application, we feel like it's a qualifying applicant for this incentive, and I'll kind of go through why. The first being economic impact. So the borrower is rehabilitating the old Vincent building and retrofitting it for Cactus and Tropicals, as well as a local restaurant, which we believe will have a large economic impact on the street. As far as the historic character, they're planning on restoring the old Vincent facade for a portion of the building, as well as incorporating some tasteful finishes that kind of incorporate a more current look. And then just kind of an obvious one, they've chosen to remodel and as opposed to tear down the building to kind of keep the authentic charm of the street as opposed to putting in new construction there. Beautification, they plan on using high-end finishes, which I'll kind of show some renderings of later on. They intend on providing the infrastructure, like I said before, for rooftop dining by putting in stair access. And then they're also going to blow out the side of the wall near that green space so that there can be an outdoor dining area for the restaurant. In addition, they're also financing the addition of the greenhouse, which we think will beautify the area in a unique way. And then the last one is that the borrower is essentially providing all of the infrastructure and the structure that will allow tenants, like we've mentioned before, to come to Main Street and activate the street through their intended use, which would include the retail hours of Cactus and Tropicals, their evening event times, and then the restaurant with their mealtime activation. So I think I showed this before with the Cactus and Tropical loan application, but this is kind of a site plan. Let's see, is it the red button that does the laser? Oh, there we go. So in the back here, this is the greenhouse. That's what Midvale Main Partners intends to put in. And then I believe the bathrooms are going to be in this area. This will be the portion of the building that Cactus and Tropicals will occupy. And then this side will be where the restaurant is. They'll have outdoor dining. And then it's going to be a blend, I believe, of like Cactus and Tropicals here in the green space, and it'll blend into the outdoor dining area.
So there'll be a restaurant on both sides of Cactus and Tropicals?
No, sorry. So this building is not part of Vincent. So this is a soda shop here.
Well, right. I know it's not part of it, but isn't the bank going to be one day? Isn't that the bank?
The bank is a further down. I'm trying to think what.
Oh, it's not that one right here?
No, that is a separate building. That one has like the second floor, and I believe there's apartments on top, and they have like
and then the bank?
And then the bank, yep.
Okay, you're right. But still, that would be, wasn't that the plan with the bank?
Yes.
Some sort of.
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
Okay, this is kind of to give you an idea of how they are incorporating some of the Vincent character while also giving it kind of this updated look. So they're going to keep the ice cream shapes here. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, Caitlin, but the people that put the rendering together didn't have the correct font. So this is what the sign company put together. So they are going to keep the original font that was at the Vincent Park. Well, it said Vincent Drug, but they're going to change it to Park. So just incorporate that over there. They aren't keeping the red, though. That's the only change. And then the other two will be the restaurant, and then this may or may not be a bookstore, but it will still look like two different facades there. I do want to note, though, that the loan is not being used to fund this front facade area. That it has its own funding, but we did use it to evaluate this project based on the public benefit score. But it is their intention to do that with the facade.
That would be super cool. I like that 3 look thing.
Yeah.
May not be for everyone, but I think it's cool.
Yeah. They're also going to keep the shape of this, but this will be the sign that says Cactus and Tropicals at Vincent Park. Like I said, they're going to incorporate this signage. It'll just say Park there, and then they're going to keep this rounded curve that already exists there at Vincent Drug. They're just going to kind of accentuate it a little bit more. And then this is the green space area where they're going to Midvale Main Partners is going to fund blowing out the side of the wall here to allow access out there. And then the intention is that the restaurant that occupies that space will do their own tenant improvements to provide the outdoor dining space there. And then this is just the examples of the greenhouse, and that'll be towards the back. I think this one is also unique in that I think you will be able to see it from Main Street, but you'll also be able to see it from Stag. Yeah, I've lost my, right? Stag, okay. The proposed loan terms. So the borrower is going to pledge equity from the property located at 7696 South Main Street as collateral. They have to provide 100% of the loan. We did agree that the loan would be subordinate to additional financing if the borrower needed to get that, but that any additional loans cannot exceed the maximum equity of the building, including the lender, so our equity share in that property. So that's to ensure that we have the $250,000 in that loan or whatever it is that they owe. The first payment will be the sooner of the first day that they obtain their certificate of occupancy for any portion of the building, whether it be the restaurant or Cactus and Tropicals, or November 1st. So whichever one happens first. They'll make equal monthly payments based on the outstanding loan amount. And then these next 3 terms I think are really important. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. But I will say that this loan and the 0 interest was scored based on the tenant type that they are saying that they're going to have in that building. So within the agreement, we will state that the borrower shall maintain a diverse and active tenancy comprised of retail, food, and event-based businesses within the secured property during the term of the loan. If the borrower were to lose a tenant during the term of this loan, the borrower shall secure a replacement tenant of the same business type within a period of 1 year from the date of vacancy. The borrower fails to maintain a tenant of the agreed upon business types, then the interest rate on the loan will be adjusted specifically to prime rate plus 1.5. And then any questions, comments, or concerns? I have Caitlin back here if you guys have any specific questions about the project as a whole. Otherwise, I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Real quick, I promise this time, quick questions. Is the Vincent sign going to maintain its neon qualities? Because I know that's something people really enjoyed about that.
The color or like the lighting?
Will you just state your name?
Oh, yes. Hi,
yeah.
I'm Caitlin Beck.
I guess kind of both. Like, is it going to be lit up?
lit up, but not neon.
Not made of neon.
Yeah, not made of neon.
But reminiscent.
Reminiscent
Okay.
with the lighting font, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool. The second thing, do we have a known tenant for the cafe yet?
We
or-
actually submitted today for a loan for them for a pizza place.
Okay.
We've curated it. It's going to be amazing, super unique. I've been texting with them. We're partnering with them. I'm just so excited about presenting to you guys in a couple weeks because it's really exciting.
I plan to spend a lot of money there.
Yeah, we ever since, what was it? There was a pizza place down by the golf place that went out. And ever since then, I feel like
There's none.
there's none.
There's
So I
none.
think that's a phenomenal.
Yeah, we felt like it was perfect because it's not a huge space, but we wanted something that could serve all day and into the evening and do events, and yeah, so we feel like pizza's perfect.
Yeah.
You'll love them too. They're awesome. And just to speak to this really quick, we love the look of the three facades, but to make that more of like a substantial restaurant so that we could really utilize, I mean, the dining outside is so unique. We're combining the spaces inside, and the center building, we'll explain this more, but we'll have its own, it'll be branded for the desserts of the pizza place, and then it'll all be one big building inside, so.
It's kind of like that pizza place downtown, Cetabello
Yeah, where there's
restaurant, and then
and
go
dessert.
over here for
Yep.
gelato.
Yep. Yeah.
Love it.
When are you guys thinking they'll be open? This seems like a lot of construction. Are we
Yeah.
years away?
Oh no, we're hoping this summer. We're trying hard. That's why we're like submitting applications as quick as we can. We have a lot of momentum. Cactus is amazing, and they're super excited. Our biggest, I think, holdup will be the greenhouse. We're just trying to crank that out. I mean, it just takes time for manufacturing, and we're using who they used on their other building, and they seem like they know what they're doing. We feel great about it, and we just think it's going to be so unique to have this beautiful greenhouse in an urban area, in an urban setting. I think it'll be a really awesome attraction. And Cactus has been so awesome to work with. We want to make the space outside feel very connected, so you kind of feel like you're in Cactus while you're eating your pizza, even though you're not going to be necessarily in their retail space, but it'll be neat.
I can't wait to eat pizza and buy plants.
I know, I'm so excited.
And dessert.
And dessert, yes.
I might just live there.
Same. We can tent up there, yeah. Any other questions?
Seeing none. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Okay, so I am wearing my tie. And I guess I just want to say that
I love it.
because of the improvements that were proposed by Cactus and Tropicals is contingent upon the completion of the structural updates that will be funded in part by this loan. We are asking that the agency suspend the rules so that this project, and so that the Cactus and Tropical project can move forward as planned on their set timeline. And I guess as well for the pizzeria, so.
And as a technical matter, so the term sheet for the Midvale Mains Partners 2 was not included in the packet for whatever reason. Nate just sent that to you, so that is what you're approving tonight with this motion, is the resolution and that accompanying term sheet. And that will set the parameters for the subsequent loan agreement.
Any questions, comments for Kate?
Nope.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move that we suspend the rules and pass resolution number 2024-03 RDA approving the term sheet for an adaptive reuse loan agreement between the Redevelopment Agency of Midvale City and Midvale Main Partners 2, LLC.
Second.
Perfect, we've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Rory, if you'd call roll, please.
Yes, Board Member Gettle.
Yes.
Glover.
Aye.
Billings.
Yes.
Robinson.
Aye.
And Brown.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
And move on to item B, consider resolution number 2024-04 RDA approving the term sheet for business loan agreement between the Redevelopment Agency of Midvale City and Cactus and Tropicals LLC.
Thank you again. So hopefully this one will be brief and you guys can ask any questions that you may have. So just as a reminder, Cactus and Tropicals applied for a $250,000 loan to help fund tenant improvements, equipment, and inventory. So they're looking at installing skylights, installing floor coverings, paint, lighting, display tables, racks, shelving, additional plumbing, cash registers, and other fixtures that are necessary for them to operate. The proposed terms are as follows. It'll be a term of 7 years with a 0% interest rate. They'll pledge equity from property of current existing locations as collateral with the loan ratio of 80%. And the RDA will be in last position. The first payment will be the sooner of the first day of the first full month following the opening of the business, or October 1st. They will pay the equal monthly payments, and they agree to submit any receipts, invoices, or other reasonable evidence as requested by the RDA to verify that they are using the loan for the permitted uses.
Any questions, comments for Kate? Okay, just as a reminder for those few people that diligently watch our council meetings, we had a longer discussion about this 2 weeks ago. With that, I'd entertain a motion.
Chairman Stevenson, I move that we pass resolution number 2024-04 RDA, approving the term sheet for a business loan agreement between the redevelopment agency, I have the giggles, redevelopment agency of Midvale City and Cactus and Tropicals LLC. It's because I called him chairman instead of mayor, because he is technically the chairman of the RDA.
Sorry. It's just what happens with RDA.
I'll show myself out.
That's right. We still got a ways to go tonight too. All right, so we've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Rory, if you'd call roll, please.
Yes, Board Member Glover.
Aye.
Billings.
Yes.
Robinson.
Aye.
Brown.
Yes.
And Gettle.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Thank you, Kate. Looks like the tie paid off. Actually, we've got
No,
one
I
more to
didn't
go
do
through.
this
I
one.
shouldn't
I
say
did not
that.
do this
I'm just jinxed it, didn't I? Consider resolution number 2024-05 RDA authorizing the chief administrative officer to execute an amendment to the interlocal cooperation agreement between the redevelopment agency of Midvale City and Salt Lake County regarding the Main Street Festival lighting project.
Thank you. Yes, so a while back, when I was presenting the selection of the vendor, I mentioned that we would need to have an extension on the deadline for the grant agreement with Salt Lake County. So I'm bringing that before you guys tonight to authorize the execution of that amendment. Just to kind of give you an overview of where we've been and where we're currently at. So we got the grant in March of 2023. The grant is providing us $200,000 for the installation of festival lights, and the RDA is expected to match the funding with $187,700. Then in October of 2023, the agency adopted the Midvale Main Urban Streetscape Design Study, which provided a 10% preliminary design of the festival lighting. We then took that out and went through the vendor selection process and entered into a design build agreement with Lamond Studio. They are currently in the design phase process and they are quickly wrapping that up so that we can come back with the final design on March 12th. And then after that, that's when they will begin the production of materials. And then they plan on installing the poles and the lighting in early spring. Their anticipated completion date is June 1st, 2024. So I will mention the original grant deadline was March 31st of 2024. But while we were going through the vendor selection process, came to light that there was inadequate supply to Main Street to power the lights. So that led us to reaching out to Rocky Mountain Power, figuring out what we can do to get the power supply. But in effect, that means that it kind of delayed the process because it can take some time for Rocky Mountain to get that infrastructure in place. And speaking with Rocky Mountain Power, it seems like they're okay working with that June 1st deadline, but it still means that we had to extend the grant. I spoke with Salt Lake County. They quickly got the amendment together, and they actually extended the grant deadline to September 30th, although I am really hopeful we'll get it done well in advance of that date. But either way, the key terms of this amendment essentially just it expands the deadline for us to expend the funds to September 30th, and then the same thing for the request for reimbursement has to be made by that same date. And due to the fact that we want to continue this and we have to get this executed before that March deadline, I am asking the agency to suspend the rules so that we can go ahead and get that authorized and executed and over to Salt Lake County.
Any questions or comments for Kate?
So I do have a comment.
Okay.
I was in last city council, I was in California, Temecula, and they have an old town. And they have lighting all the way down their main street, and similar to what we're trying to do. It's a lot longer than we have. And I noticed something that I think we ought to at least look at in this design process. They had speakers on every pole, every other pole all the way down. And while we're doing this, it can't cost much more to run speaker wires so that we could have music in our festivals and these kinds of things. Have we thought about that at all?
Not specifically the speakers. We have talked to Rocky Mountain Power of ensuring that not only there's enough power to power the festival lights, but we would love to have outlets on the plugs and enough power that we could run food trucks, vendors, which I would imagine would be enough power for the speakers, but we would have to
what I'm
talk to
saying
them.
is we're putting it in now. It can't cost that much more to run speaker wires and a system. I mean, we could actually put up the speakers later if we needed to, but the wiring needs to go in now, or it'll cost a lot more money to redo after.
Yes.
I just wondered if the council agrees with that.
I have been to places where there's outdoor speakers and I like it. You know, I think it adds a nice, you know, sound, especially a festival or something along those lines, but even on the weekends or something like that, right? If we want, you know, people walking around eventually as it grows, I think you know, for what we're trying to build there, I think it's a good idea.
I'm sure it'll cost a little bit more, but I can't see that it's gonna cost a fortune to run the wires. And speakers, we could put up whenever, but, I mean, they can't be that expensive. But I just think we need to look into it.
Yeah, certainly. We can talk to the designers and see what the additional cost is, and then if that's the route we want to go, we can just bring the addition of the speakers back to the agency when we execute the amendment to enter into the build phase.
But it was exciting to see all of that and what they have going down there. It's amazing.
Yeah, well, I bet.
And if you need a third person to say yes, I
Okay.
agree. And you don't even have to go farther than Daybreak. They have speakers on some of their streets where restaurants and businesses are. So I'm glad you went to
And on our
Temecula.
birthdays, we can pick the playlist.
Okay, I'll make sure that goes into the motion.
Yeah. In the rule, like in the motion. Yeah.
I like it.
No, I'm excited about this whole, of all the things we can, I think we can do, this is it'll bring Main Street to life.
Yeah, I agree, and I think, even talking to the future tenants on the street, when we've told them about the festival lighting, they are very excited about it, so.
Okay. My only other random note I was going to say is sometimes I tend to forget that we have folks from our communities who sit on these other boards, and I believe it's Candy Tippett from our planning commission who sits on this track board, the TRCC, as the county, and then it goes to the county council and they have to approve. But I know I've talked to Candy about some of these projects that go in front of that board, and she has been a huge advocate for us. So if you see her, please say thank you. With that, if there's no other questions or comments, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we suspend the rules and pass resolution number 2024-05 RDA authorizing the Chief Administrative Officer to execute an amendment to the interlocal cooperation agreement between the redevelopment agency of Midvale City and Salt Lake County regarding the Main Street Festival lighting project.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that? Rory, would you call roll, please?
Yes. Board Member Billings.
Yes.
Robinson.
Aye.
Brown.
Yes.
Gettle.
Yes.
And Glover.
Aye.
Okay, that passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, I'm gonna ask for a motion to adjourn the RDA meeting and then, I'm gonna ask for a motion to table indefinitely, the closed session to discuss the purchase, exchange, or lease of real property.
Mayor,
So moved.
Thank you. We have a motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, we're tabling that, and with that, I would ask for a motion to adjourn this meeting and enter back into our council meeting.
Motion to adjourn the RDA
second,
and move back into council.
third, second.
We have
Do
a
we have to do
motion-
two different, do we have to do two different ones?
You can reconvene yourself.
No. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? All right, so we are adjourning this RDA meeting, entering back into our council meeting, where we do have a closed session. For those of you that will have to leave our closed session, if you need coffee, a Red Bull or something, I'm sure that can be arranged in the other conference room as you hang out. Appreciate your patience with us. With that, I would ask for a motion to enter into a closed session for strategy sessions to discuss the purchase, exchange, or lease of real property.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Rory, would you call roll, please?
Yes.
Are we good? Are we off?
Hold on, Rory's
Not
got to
yet.
call roll.
Okay, Board Member Glover.